I want to ask you this other question that I was always thinking of. I mean, it's totally linked into the success stories. And I think we're going to be having like more of a series, Russ, because I don't think like one episode can encapsulate anything more than 1% of what you can actually share with people. I think we're going to be doing a series on this, which will like, actually help them more in a realistic, detailed way, because the people need to know about these details. But I want to ask you, what is the kind of legacy, like we are all living on this earth, hoping to create this kind of impact in our life? So what is what is your legacy? What is the legacy that you're trying to build that you're actually building, and for whom?
Well, for elections, you can say, well, Canada.
Yeah.
Before I forget, on the elections thing, what happened, I guess about half a year ago now, there was an election in Ontario province here.
Yeah.
So again, provinces have their own elections and whatever. And when my wife and I went to register and to get our ballots and I looked around and I said, oh, now again, this one was being run by the Ontario government as opposed to Elections Canada. And I said, that's an interesting thing. Usually up to that point, you would be given a piece of paper and you would tick in who you're voting for, and you would fold it up or put it in a folder and they would throw it in the.
Yeah.
They had I think there was about 4 people there who were taking your signed and ticked off candidate. They were taking it and they were putting it through a feeder on their laptop computer.
Wow.
I wonder. And it was kind of good because usually there's a long lineup, but this way it was, what's your name? They check the list. Yes, you're on here. Here's your thing. Go tick it off. Bring it back here. We'll zip it in. You saw it go in. You're okay to go. So I thought, well, that was pretty good.
Easy.
We went home and we thought, well, when will the election results start? And we're listening to the nightly news. So the news runs to about 6 or 6:30. 7 is when the polls, this is provincial election, 7 was when the polls ended. If you hadn't voted by then, tough tookies.
Oh.
So we thought, oh, okay. And, the CTV was saying, okay, we'll be starting our analysis of how the votes and stuff went shortly.
Streaming.
And I'm thinking, in the old days, it would take about 2 hours before some results would start coming in. We were there at home at 7. By 7:10, they were starting to show results from each of the different voting areas.
Oh my goodness.
By 8:30, we know who had won in our riding.
Wow.
It takes days. And I thought, they have tacked up with the software from Elections Canada, and they're doing it almost real time. And I thought, that's pretty darn good. It's good to know that what I did umpteen years ago is still helping us today. And compare that to, the elections in the US, where it takes days and days before.
Yeah, and elsewhere. Yeah.
So, I kind of went tick, did that, help there. Democracy is working well in Ontario, at least. What's next?
Yeah, look at all of the ripple effect based on just that. Of course, when I say just that, I don't mean just that, but I mean, look at the ripple effect happening out of such a
Well,
project.
And once you tick onto it, and again, Elections Canada had a reputation of knowing how to do complex elections all over the world. They would get called in regularly to, hey, can you come take a look at our systems? Or can we come look at yours and see what we're doing wrong, etc. So that was it's good to see, yes, that one worked out.
Making
And
yeah.
it's gone on to be better integrated with all the
Yeah.
elections now. Major success story. Yeah.
Now, what's the legacy? What's the legacy? Is it to make that kind of impact nationwide? Is that what you're looking at?
No, not so much nationwide, just these are complex projects. They were in trouble, and we figured out a way to do this. So, I guess
As
that's
simple
good.
as that. As simple as that.
Yeah, so that, that was a success. What's next? Unforgettable clients you have ever met? Well, certainly the chief electoral officer.
Surely the ones you've mentioned. Yeah.
Words of advice you'll never forget.
Yeah. What are the words of advice, Russ, you would never forget? It doesn't matter whether it was somebody who is in your professional career or somebody who is not in your professional career, but something that really
Well,
had
I'm
its
sure, actually, words of advice that I'll never forget. The one that always comes to mind with me came from a book, not from a person.
what were they? What were they, Russ?
Well, it was essentially that sleeping on an agreement never made it worse. You think you get somewhere. Clearly, if you've been working at it for a long time, then you're not going to fall right asleep. But if you figure you've got it to the point and where everyone's agreeing on whatever, then it's likely to get it's important that everyone agree on what that contract is, because if you fight against contracts, you're going to be fighting all the way through it. And
Yeah.
that's where Nav Canada was before I got there. They had already what's their names had gotten millions of dollars because of the cancellation of the first contract.
So agreement. You realized early on the power of agreement.
Sorry?
You realized early on when you read that line in that book. By the way, like, what was the book? Do you remember?
No.
That when you read that line in that book,
It
you
all goes
realized
back
early.
over.
Yeah, I mean, only the important stuff, stays. I mean,
But
when you
I
read that
guess,
line in that book, you realized early on the power of agreement, and then you've actually
Yeah.
seen it.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, you don't, again, I have taken, I guess it was about a 3-day course in contract negotiations. And what you learn there is it is not going to help you if you squeezed every last ounce of blood out of your
Their opponent, if you may call them
Yeah.
an opponent.
So find out where the middle.
Where the middle land is.
Yeah.
Where the middle ground is.
And
Wow.
always try to find out, what's something you could throw in as a favor or a bonus or something and not cost you a lot, but it would make them feel more comfortable. Like for one of the problems we're having on the air traffic control radios. I was over in Vienna with my troop again, Seemed everyone liked to be in Vienna. Um, and it was around Christmas time. And so the people over there, they were including us in a Christmas celebration with them and whatever. But there were some things that did not get done that we were supposed to be there testing it. Did it pass the test? I'm kind of going, not that one. At that point, nobody ever said I had signing authority, but if I signed, everyone else signed.
Yeah.
I've been a lot through those. Um, so, I hummed and hawed it over and I kind of went, well, because of that other competitor is still here. Um, you know, just saying, sure, we'll wait for the new year to get it done. Didn't seem appropriate. But at the same time, this is Christmas. You're in Vienna. Your team's away from their family. Um, the suppliers here, they would probably like to be home with their family.
Everybody.
So, I finally said to one of their senior people, all right, I'm not going to belittle on this one, but we need to agree together, you and me, that that's the first thing that's got to get fixed up. Because if I'm going to sign something, because I think they had gotten funding, whatever, from other places, that those places needed to see that progress was being made. So okay, I will sign, but you and I agree. And sure, that worked out fine. So again, advice you never forget. I mean, remember the other team on the other side of the table, they too are trying to do a good job. They too care about
Mhm.
reputation and stuff. And, if you keep picking on every little thing, you're not going to get we're in this together, let's get this done kind of thing. Likewise, when I think he was a major with the Canadian services. And he phoned me up saying, hey, can I borrow your engineer? And my first question was, have you already talked to him? And he said, yes.
Yeah, right.
And I said, did he agree? And he said, yes. I said, then I have no problem. So,
That's a
um,
big favor.
yeah, well, it never hurts to have given some favors out there because
To make
sometimes
favors,
it comes
exactly. It
back
never hurts.
in your
Exactly.
favor. Uh, who are my success partners in life? That would be my wife.
Wow. Can you tell us
She
more
she has put
about
up
your
with a
wife?
lot. As you can imagine, me being over in the UK for months on end, um, being in Vienna, there was, 3 weeks wasn't unusual. And I would be over there every second or third month. Um, and she's still here and she still talks to me. And she's also a good partner for me to bounce off things and say, should I write it this way? Or so, what's the legacy I'm building? Hey, I've already got my name on a bunch of standards and stuff. Um,
Wow. Russ, like, what are the most important standards that you're really, like, excited about, like, contributing to? By the way, I didn't ask that. I wanted to ask that, like, early on.
Standards. Well, the standards I've worked on, um, in the Project Management Institute, it's been, quite a number there. There was, I didn't work on the PMP, the original project management. The title of the book that was
Mhm.
been around for decades. For the longest time, they were the organization that everyone quoted on how to do projects and project management, etc.
Yeah,
And most people would go around saying, well, I'm following the project management methodology.
yeah.
And I was in the PMI headquarters is about a 15-minute drive out of Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia one weekend. That was what was called the Extreme Review Team. I was working on their what used to be called OPM,
OPM.
Organizational Project Management Methodology, OPM 3.
Oh,
Um, and it was getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and they called on a bunch of volunteers to come down to Pennsylvania for the weekend. You will be stuck in the hotel for 2 days, working in a group of, I think there was about 40 of us,
wow.
to work out what are the steps in this management methodology. Because, like if you're familiar with ISO and some of those, there's a step-by-step
Yeah, yeah.
to go through to get to a higher maturity level. So that's what they were developing, was called OPM. At
Mhm.
that time, it was the most expensive standard they've ever tried to develop.
Wow, wow.
And they realized towards the end of this, well, we need to provide the step-by-step processes that build up to, yeah, you're now at a level 2 maturity, or you're now at a level 3. So they called a bunch of us in. They called us the Extreme Review Team because we need this now. And I was working on that and writing up, okay, well, this is the logical next step. This is the logical next step. Therefore, you've got a score of 3 or 2 or whatever. So I was working on that. And then that night, of course, PMI headquarters people, they said, okay, well, we're going to have a nice dinner together and sit down and talk about why we should do it differently next time. Anyways, I was talking
Oh,
with them, and I had never met any of these people before. And I'm at a table, and there's this young lady across from me, and I'm over here, and at that point, I'd already been training people in um, the PMP, Project Management Professional. You had to have passed the OPM 3, sorry, you had to have passed a test and a 4-day class on what was called the Project Management Book of Knowledge.
oh, PMBOK.
Yes, the PMBOK. And um, you know, it was kind of strange because when we were looking at how do we develop up from projects, which we all knew what projects were, etc. Okay, and the next level up, well, that would obviously be a program. What's a program?
Ah,
The PMI has no book on a program,
yeah, it doesn't have a body of knowledge on a program,
on projects,
on projects.
not a methodology, but a body of knowledge about different things in the
Exactly,
project.
exactly.
And then the third one you had to get to within OPM 3 was portfolios. So what's a portfolio? Anyways, so somehow we got talking around this at the dinner and whatever. And I said, well, you guys are the PMI and you've got out there your project management methodology. And she said, it's a body of knowledge. It is not a methodology. In the most sternest, sharp words she could say it. And that's when I learned a bit later, this is the lady that is in charge of getting that book published and out there, the old project management body of knowledge. And ever since then, because I've had a lot of people say, well, we're following the PMI methodology.
It's not a methodology, like, yeah, it's just the body of knowledge.
That's
I think the way it was marketed, Russ, plays into this.
Well, at that time, they really didn't have much competition.
Yeah,
right?
so they
When
could pretty much say
when
anything,
the
yeah.
UK started doing their Prince 2 and Prince and stuff, then they realized we got to
Yes.
tighten up a bit. But it didn't matter how many times I heard it and whatever. And I'm in a class one day teaching them about Prince 2. And it's a small class, four of them. So lots of time to chatter about and whatever. And one of them says, yeah, well, the PMI's got their methodology. I said, what methodology? She says, well, the PMO, the guy, he said,
PMBOK.
the methodology. And she said, yes, it is. I said, do you have a copy of it? Bring it in tomorrow morning. And she did. And I say, okay, take a look at the first page and read down. And he said, I said, yeah, see, it's all here. I said, keep reading to the end of the second paragraph. And at the end of the second paragraph, they say specifically there, this is a body of knowledge. This is not a specific methodology to follow.
Yeah.
And when she saw that, first off, she stopped harping about PMI to me. Secondly, she agreed, yes, it's not a methodology. And I said,
Yes, it's not
but that's one of the
methodology.
key differences with Prince 2 that we're here about. Prince 2 does lay it out as a methodology.
As a methodology. Okay,
And
got
you
it.
can show that you're doing that. And so she took it in stride and was happy thereafter. So,
I think a lot of people take the PMBOK as a book which has the methodology till today, Russ.
oh
I
yeah.
think the way it was
Yeah.
laid out in the market with the diagram, blah, blah, blah.
well,
I think a lot of people, don't you agree?
At the time it first came out, it was a pretty good collection of things that you should be thinking about.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it had what, the 9 knowledge areas. I think they
Exactly.
started at 7, they've added up to 9 at this point, maybe
Yeah,
11
yeah.
now.
I think it's 12, 11 or 12, 13, I think.
So
Yeah.
it's not a bad book. It's a good thing to keep in mind. But it's not that methodology. And again, when you're working on talking about an organizational project management methodology that can measure what your maturity factor is at,
Oh,
there better be some specific measurements. And that's where OPM 3 got. OPM 3 started with just the measurements for project management. And we went, but there's 3.
and it was supposed to go beyond, right? It was supposed to go project management, then program management, then all the maturity
We-
levels in the portfolio management as well.
We,
That was
we
so
did
good.
get to the level where there were all 3. I should mention, I guess. At one time, the PMI had groups that could create their own little oven, if you will, of, this one might be about,
Special, their own
Yeah,
specializations, their own
PMO.
technical.
This is about PMOs. This one's about,
Yeah.
and we had one that was called, they used to call them special interest groups, SIG.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they would have one of a PMO and an SIG of risk management. And the problem PMI ran into was that those groups would collect money for joining them, and they would take that money and use it for running conferences and meetings and stuff. But potentially they would also could be held responsible for following a methodology that shouldn't have been written that way.
Why
And so
so?
that's when they got rid of SIGs and they started
SIG.
calling them SIGs, special interest groups.
Yeah, got it,
So,
got it.
the PMO one, for example, it could have a conference on SIG PMOs. And if you were a member of SIG, you're welcome to come. And if not, join us, and then you're welcome to come. So PMI went away from those because of that legal possibility. And they started with what was called communities of practice, COPs. And essentially almost all the SIG suddenly became a COP. Well, who was the new
Which
block?
is like the other, I mean, it's almost one and the same. So yeah.
Sort of, not quite.
It's a transformation of it. Yeah.
So that's where COPs came from. That's why SIGs went away within the PMI. So I'm busy working on, have been busy since the day I first heard about it on OPM 3, getting it done, getting it finished. And that's when they say, well, we can't really push it out as an OPM 3, but you can be a community organizational practice, a community of practice, COP, and you can call it a COP of OPM 3.
Which dilutes the purpose.
So guess who becomes one of the first members? And I became the second head of, because the original person in charge of that COP had some family, was
Had to
having
go.
some health issues and stuff. So he decided, and I took over. There were 3 COPs that were the top 3 in the PMI. We were number 2, I think, COP. We had
Wow.
if you were a member of the PMI, it cost you nothing to join the OPMs, the COPs. So you could get a lot of people that way, just saying, well, I'll sign on to it and see.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
So, again, PMI also stop having the COPs. By the time they did finish, though, we had 30,000 members worldwide.
Wow.
So
That's a lot of work.
That's one of those things I contributed to that. I think the PMO one asked if I would be a speaker at one of theirs, and I said, sure. Forget how many people that got, but it also was widely reviewed and sounded like, hey, this guy knows how to talk about some of these things. And on the final one I did after I'd left the community of practice on OPM, the person who took over the organization of it from me, she said, can you come back and do a talk? at least. And again, you wouldn't be paid for doing a talk, and I think I've still got the video of it. But there were something like 3,000 members on.
Wow, massive.
And at the end of it, it just kept rolling on and on and on about, it's really good to see somebody who's actually practiced this and etc. And someone who can explain it in easy words and why it's important and etc. So that was nice to see, but
But
they are no more.
so is that part of the gap that's in the market right now? That kind of knowledge and information and awareness that is
Well,
like, sort of this, I mean, it's causing this kind of, lack of stability in these high level people understanding what needs to be prioritized. Is that part of what you plan to cover as a part of your mission, Russ? How
with the ISO management maturity, the ISO has got it's a similar name. It's not around projects though, but it's around what your industrial
quality management,
processes are, and they've got formal people who can come in and check how much of the formality you're actually applying, etc. OPM 3 started out trying to do that. Again, they ran into a bit of trouble when you couldn't join the community of practice of OPM unless you were a PMI member.
Yeah.
Now, the people who really care about organizational project management are senior executives.
They don't have time for this.
Nor for paying whatever piddly amounts are for PMI. Is this something that would still be of good use? I think so, in that it got developed to the point where there were instructions and courses on how to be an assessor for your maturity level in organizational project management. Prince 2 is a methodology. It lays out
for all three levels, like project, program, portfolio.
It does have for all three levels.
Okay.
But it started out with the Prince 2. These are the specific positions that you have to have identified and who's on them. These are the specific people who are responsible for raising issues. These are the people who are responsible for approvals of changes. These are the people who are responsible for shutting down or closing your project, etc. And they had an appropriate list of things that should be looked at, and people trained in how to go and investigate those. So
do you still see gaps in the Prince 2, Russ?
Sorry?
Do you see that there are still gaps, room for improvement for certifications
in Prince 2?
Such as Prince 2 when it comes to, yeah.
No, I think Prince 2 was pretty solid as it was. The challenge you've got is that places have decided to look at its kind of alternatives to specific ways. In particular, what's the current one?
Agile?
Yeah, Agile. Again, I'm a fan of Agile. I'm a certified Agile. Me too. But the problem there, I mean, when you think about it, is who authorizes the project to be done? Think about the pyramid we discussed. Who authorizes the project to be done? it's the program manager.
Exactly.
If your project is part of a program, it's the program manager. But, you know, it's usually that second tier. The first tier, the senior execs in your organization, they've set out where they think they want to see their organization
Strategic
in
stuff.
3-5 years.
Yeah.
They've said to the program level, here is the monies that we will authorize you to allocate to changes in the organization. You tell me which ones will generate the best changes in the organization
Yeah.
that
You
will
choose.
achieve
What they want.
well, that will achieve the realization or improvements that we're after.
Yeah.
So it's not really the program management that they are going to oversee that kind of thing. And typically, in a well-formed organization, it's the program management that would say, yeah, this is it's late, it's running over budget, it's never going to work. Stop it now. And they would be the ones that would have to carry that to the portfolio level people and say,
Level.
this isn't
Yeah.
just going to work out.
Yep.
But
Yep.
here's what we could do with the monies that are left. In the case
There you
of
go.
Agile,
Prince 2.
well,
Agile.
Prince 2 lays it all out. There, it's
Lays it
very
all, like all levels. All levels, like portfolio,
no.
program, project, all the details as a methodology are there.
Well, the group that developed Prince 2 and Prince originally, and they always laid out that there are portfolios, programs, and projects.
Yes.
Who's responsible for the project? It's the project manager. That's
Yes.
sorry. It's the
I mean, alphabets of like project management. It is the project manager programs or led by intermediary
there is a position
program
above the
managers.
project manager that he or she is responsible for
PMO?
approving the project. Sorry?
PMO? Are you referring to the PMO
Um,
manager?
no, they're not called the project. They're called
Project management office, not project management office.
they're the project exec.
Yeah.
And he or she has, as the first stage in a Prince 2 project, he or she take a look at what's possible, what's likely, what approach would we use? Have we tried this before and it didn't work out, but if we think if we could change it this way, it would work out. They will come up with a kind of a thought about approach, not a detailed approach, a thought about approach.
Mm-hmm.
They will take that back to the project board. And the project board, which has 3 key people on it, it's the project exec, it's the operations people, and it's the delivery of the project people. So the supplier, if you will. And the other one, so project exec, he or she's got yay or nay over the project at each stage of the project. The client is usually represented by either the client directly, who's paying for this project, or the sales part of your organization who thinks they can sell this.
Yeah.
So, and then the third one on the group is the people who are responsible for building the project itself. Whatever the project was, whether it's a software thing or whether it's a new highway or whatever. They're responsible for getting the technical work done. That's the three key. And guess what? If that was a program in the in that field, i.e. the UK approach, that program, the highest level there is probably the guy, the project exec, he's probably a program manager.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so,
All right, I wanted to ask you now, since I mean, to wrap up this episode, obviously, because we need to make many, many more to go deeper into each story, like each experience that you've been through. But I wanted to ask this one before we wrap up. So given that you've been deep into what PMI is offering, deep into what the Prince2 are offering, what is the innovation that you plan to introduce to your market?
success.
Sure.
Okay, how do you
Package in
tell
one.
a project is successful? Why are you doing a project? You're doing it because of the benefits you think you would gain by having invested in that. Managing benefits. Did you ever see, did I ever send you, here's my resume? No. Managing benefits. Managing benefits is another, I'm not sure you would call it a methodology. Well, it's pretty darn close. Who wrote it? Sure. It was written by the same author who shows up on the portfolio management of from what were they last called? Well, originally they were the subgroup.
Russ, when you said success here, it just, registered in a very, very different way when I thought about it for a sec than when you initially said it. When you said the innovation I plan to introduce is what's success. So some people may hear that on a very shallow level. What you're talking about here is on a very strategic and far-sighted level, right?
The success of the project.
Yeah. What is the definition of success? What is the definition of success?
The portfolio management people, they are the ones who have invested money, probably their own money.
Yeah.
If this was a large initiative, it would have required a program, but still the money and the beliefs are coming down from above.
Yeah.
Let's take the easy thing. It's just a project, not a program. So that board, that top board, the portfolio people, they will have told a senior manager in the organization, you're responsible for getting these 3 projects done, or just getting this one project done. If you're responsible for just one project, you're not a program manager. You're
just a project manager.
Project executive.
Exactly.
Because I believe the terminology they use is project executive. Project manager is a guy actually trying to watch the project.
Like a supervisor.
Okay, so that person, he or she, should have been told from the portfolio people, this is the kind of benefits we anticipate getting. Right? Because if they don't have any view of what kind of benefit they would get, why are they investing?
Why? Yeah.
Right. So, but they've got to run the organization as well. Remember, 80% of the organization requires their attention changing what the organization does or how it does it, that requires change management.
Yes.
If it's huge, like the Parliament Hill in Canada, it's definitely going to be a program. Or the
Yeah.
latest one is we got to get new fighter planes. That's going to be a big program.
Program. Yeah.
Because it's a program, we understand the big picture. We also are senior members of this organization. We can't be busy looking after the projects. So we're going to find appropriate people to run the individual projects required. So, for example, one fix up of one of the buildings on Parliament Hill probably required at least 4 different project managers. One was, how the heck do we get the Senate down to the other place? Another would have been, it's an open court in the middle. What do we do? We put a big tarp on. So that's where you've got to start getting it broken down. And the program managers generally are senior enough that they don't have the time and then sometimes not the up-to-date in knowledge of how to best do some of those projects.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how do
And
we get
here's
down
the
on-
crux of the matter. Here is the crux of
okay.
the matter.
So who made that program manager responsible for getting this done? Where did that come from?
Who?
Sorry?
Who?
Who appointed the program manager?
The portfolio guys, the upper level management.
Portfolio guys, right. And gals. Don't forget
And
gals.
girls.
This is a new innovative world we live in. But the direction comes
I'm forgiving when it comes to these things.
the direction comes from above. And the authority to spend 150 million comes from above. So that person, guess what? He's got to respond to portfolio managers.
Yes, yes.
They're making that kind of investment because they believe, however they believe, but they believe they will get, if I'm investing 10 million, I want to see 15 million benefit in the
Yes.
first 2 years.
Yes.
Okay. So the program guy or gal knows this. And so I've only got 10 million to play with. And we got to make sure we get at least 15 million value. He's going to push that down to the project manager or managers.
Managers, maybe like
Right.
Multiple
Now,
projects.
Okay, so we see how this gets pushed down in a logical way.
Very.
And it's logical which level has what responsibilities.
Yeah.
You can't start a project without it having come down somewhere through that top level.
Path.
Okay, now, I think at one point we talked about US chain that had all kinds of stores in the US, and they decided they would try to set up those same stores. I think it was Tower Stores
In Canada.
Now, okay, that was a project. I'm supposed to have built the store that is in Montreal, downtown Montreal, in etc. I've got that. I've got that store open. It's fully staffed. It's got all the equipment it's supposed to, and it's fully laid out with all the materials that we sell. who's responsible for getting those materials sold? Because up to that point, you ain't made no money unless people start buying or using
Buying,
your equipment
of course.
or your
Doesn't
whatever you're
even
selling.
matter if people are not buying. Yeah.
So the benefits realization needs to come from operations, not from projects. Because projects don't run stores, operations run stores.
Wow.
That's where the whole pyramid fits.
So did you just say that the benefits start when the project ends?
No. No, no, no.
No.
Russ,
No.
because guess what? You've just opened a brand new store. Nobody's heard of you yet. You've got to do something on the operations side to get
Yes.
the word out there that, hey, there's this new store. Here, we're having an opening sale, etc. That's not things projects do. That's things operations do.
Operations do.
Right. So you're not going to realize benefits until you start in operations. And guess what?
Exactly.
You're not going to make that 5 million in your first month. It's operations that has to keep track of the benefits you're getting from those new stores. Not from the new stores and those old stores, but this new store. So it's operations. So part of your role in both program and project management is understanding who those stakeholders are, who you're going to pass off what you're building for them to them, when you're going to get it to them, what kind of information or training should you have given them before you end your project? Because guess what? That training will be a cost to the project. So there is a very logical, rational way to walk through all that. Not many people use it.
So, what is the relationship for us? Like, before we wrap up, I want to ask you that very important question. It's probably going to be the starting point for our next, episode. But when do benefits realize? Do they start before the end of the project, after the completion of the project, or like as soon as the project starts? Like, when do benefits actualize, you say?
It kind of depends on the project.
Okay.
For example, with the Toronto Tower, our project there was really finished at the point where we've got all the equipment in place, we've tested it all, and we've trained up the people on site who are going to have to maintain it.
Yeah.
And we've trained the air traffic controllers how to use that new telephony. But remember, all those are part of the operational side of the house.
Exactly, yeah.
And what a lot of people forget is they are necessary for success of your project. Those people who are taking these things from you as you've developed them and built.
Take over.
Right. It's I'm just trying to think of a good example, but you build a hotel.
It's like building a gas station.
Yeah, well, what if nobody comes because they don't like the look of your gas station? That's a whole project that you're going to have to hopefully sell off to somebody else. But the whole rationale behind portfolio management, whether it's in project, program, portfolio stuff, or whether it's in buying shares on the stock markets, your whole rationale is for generating value out of it, getting value out of it.
Of course.
But that value,
That's what you call benefits. The benefits that you offer to the stakeholders, whether they're market, shareholders, employees, teams.
and measuring and reporting that benefit. If you're
Absolutely.
in a program project environment, many times the
Yes.
program will take over the benefits because the projects they spawned, those projects are done. But the benefits won't happen till sometime after. And therefore the program is around after. You want to shut down the projects as soon as possible because you got more projects that people want to.
Yeah. Russ McDowell, it was
Logical
a
sense.
pleasure hosting you today. The ton of information is never going to be ending. It's just these episodes are just going to be the beginning of getting you introduced to people who have not met you and enriching the market with the very important information that most of the people are actually missing out on. Thank you so much, Russ. This was an amazing time with you.